Oftentimes, there's an emotion that instead of a clear dog, that there's joy on one hand. The same person is containing two emotions. There's joy on one side of the heart, and sometimes it's like a bittersweet on the other side. So I guess between Shul and one is very happy at once. But the truth is, I actually feel bad. If I want to be honest, I actually feel bad for that. I feel bad for you. I know you're good. And we have to make it up somehow. We'll figure it out. So there's a lot of conversation about Deidel Mashke, Panis Lufi Ador, and Lufi Panis. So, not really sure, but let's see how it goes. So there's a Bnei Yissaschar on the table. The Bnei Yissaschar talks about Chodesh Shvat, brings out from Sefer Yitzir, brings from Nedarim, that it's Havi Yeredet L'Hoyahu T'Nasi HaKodesh, that this pasuk, that it's Hey Yud and Vav Hey. So the shilov of Yud Kei Vav Kei, the four-letter names of Hashem, it's Nekra Chodesh Shvat, is Havi Yeredet Hey Yud L'Hoyahu T'Nasi HaKodesh, which is the idea of Tumura. Tumura means that you have an animal, and you decide, you dedicate this animal, and you decide to exchange it with another animal. So the law is that this animal and that animal are both Kodesh, which means that it's an expansion. That sometimes when you exchange one thing for the next, it seems like what you're doing is ending one and starting something new. But in Kedusha, nothing ends. Kedusha is a davar nitzchi, something that's eternal. So the end of the shear in your house, in the exchange into another place, which is happening on Chodesh Shvat, is an extension, some type of an extension of this idea. You think about, it's also Siyum as Nedarim. When a person contemplates, what is the idea of a Neder? What's the concept of a Neder? Yeah. It's a big machlokes or a shayla. There's a big conversation. If a Neder is a tfasa, which means, is it based on a carbon? That it's really something, the Rosh, the Ritzvah, the Rashba. That's one opinion, which means that it's already based on something that's toifus, something that has an existence, and you're exchanging it for something else, saying that this is like this. And there's other shittas are showing others say that it's not it's not the same idea. But the truth is that what you're doing when you're creating a neder, when you're making a neder, it's not a shvua, it's not an oath. When you take a shvua, the Gemara says, when you take a shvua, it's an agava. Which means that you accept upon yourself to do this. That's why the Torah says, you can't mashbih yourself in some way. A neder is on the chefses, the object itself. It's not the God, it's not the person. What you're doing is through the power of speech, somehow the power of speech is so powerful that it can transform an object into something that has halachic ramifications. It's actually a halachic getter. Where's the power of speech come from? What is this power of speech? And how is it related to everything we just said before? In the end of the Nedarim, towards the end, the Gemara talks about the same concept of toich be'edibur k'dibur nami. That when someone says something, even after they speak it, there's a certain time period, as long as it takes to say Shalom Aleichem Rabbi, as long as the person can say this conversation, the words are not yet done. which means you say something, and what you say doesn't yet have validity until you wait, let's say, 5 seconds. And the Gemara says that there are certain cases where it does. Torah gives anything, it's not like Torah. One is, for example, Kiddushin, Gerushin, Amagadah, these are things that are not. And there's a big conversation among the Rishonim. What's the reason? What's the reason? The Ram gives a reason, says because it's very serious, it's chomer. When a person does Kiddushin, the person gets married, it's chomer another because then a person puts weight into their words. There's an opinion of Begatam that says that it's the Kamas HaShul. But then there's another way of thinking about it. When you say something, speaking is an act where there's a mashpia and there's a makabel. Now you could be the makabel, you can speak to yourself. But the act of speaking is a process where something exists within you, you project it outside of you, and then it's received by someone else or something else. That's the process of speech. The reason why Toich Kedei Dibur Ki Dibur Dali is because when you touch something, the moment you touch it, you touched it. But when you speak something, it does not become a reality until it's perceived. It takes a moment. When you speak something, there's a wavelength. In order for my words to get to you, it's a split second, but it's a time. Which Chazal is saying, when you speak, what they're saying is, it's oiser zman. The speaking of something is only complete when it registers by the recipient that heard you speak. So that's what Torah can do with them, because it's not like touch, it's not like sight. In fact, this is an equivalent. The oimek of the equivalent of this concept is that conversation, speech, inherently has a parnus, and then it inherently has a door. That's what definition of speech is. That's why the Torah is the mitzvah Talmud Torah. The obligation to learn Torah is the Mechaber rules. The Torah rules the same way. And in order to be yotze in the mitzvah Talmud Torah, you have to speak it. You can't think it. The Gemara has a different opinion. But the Alter Rebbe says, and the reason for that is because the mitzvah Talmud Torah, the idea of Talmud Torah is to be medaber, to speak it. The Torah is a Torah Shabal Peh, which means there's a Rav and there's a Talmud, and there's a transmission from the teacher to the student, but it's through speech. Even when the Torah talks about writing Torah Shebiksav, Kisalam Esashir is the Siyum B'fiyah. There has to be a transmission that occurs in a text. But the ultimate transmission is from a Rav and Talmud, from Mashpia, from a Kabbalah, through Dibur, through the process of speech. Why that speech? What's inherently creative in the idea of speech? I said before that the idea of speech creates reality. Your words, Yachol Dvoreh, when a person says something, makes a neder, it creates a chetza of a mitzvah, chetza of a Torah. It creates reality. Where does that koyach come from? So if you look at the beginning of Bereshit, the beginning of the Torah talks about that Vayi Adam L'nefesh Chaya, Vayibach Ba'al V'Nishmas Chaim, Hashem blew into his nostrils the breath of life, Adam. Vayi Adam L'nefesh Chaya, man became a living being. Says the Baal HaTorah, what does it mean? It says the Onkelos, what does it mean that man became a living being? He became a Ruach Mamala. He became a creature of speech. And Rashi writes that it's Hadei Avadibur. The power of speech is divine-like power. That's why if you think about it, you have a doimen, Sameach, and a chai, an inanimate, vegetative, an animal, and the highest form of life, the human being, you don't call him about seichel, you don't call him an intellectual, which would make sense. An inanimate, a vegetation, an animal, and an intellectual. Homo sapiens. Do you think that that's the definition of humans? But the Torah says, no, that's not the definition of a human being. The definition of a human being is someone that has the ability to speak. Why speech? This is the koyach of the neshama. Why? Because speech creates yichud. Speech creates communication. Communication creates connections. If I love you and have a feeling towards you, that's me expressing love to you. But if I can talk to you, then I can understand how you think. If you love a child, right? A person loves their children, by the way, forever. You love your child. You love your child when your child is a day old. You're not communicating with the child. You're expressing love to the child. The relationship is, there's an I and there's an it. The child just lies there in the crib, and you're expressing love. Dialogue, conversation, speech is when you speak, the other receives, and then the other speaks. That's conversation. That's dibur. That's the koyach of dibur. The koyach of dibur is a koyach eliki. It's a divine-like power because what it does is it takes two people that have two different worldviews, two different upbringings, two people are raised in different places around the world with different ways of thinking about everything. And through the power of speech, the koyach hadibur, we can create communications, and you can create yichud. And this is the koyach of the neder, the entire day of time. And this is really the koyach of the tzibur, the cloud. When you say dur l'fi ha'parnas and parnas l'fi ha'dur, one is the speaker and one is the receiver. But v'tamidi yosim mekulam, however l'maltim Rabbi say. But v'tamidi yosim mekulam, which means when the makabel becomes the mashpia becomes the makabel. And that's really chula l'necha, the dream is lo yom l'ishus ne'ela k'kulam yedu eisi. The dream, Mashiach dream, is that when the makabel, when in the transition of Torah, generally, is the mashpia gives over to the makabel. The Rav gives over to the makabel. The Lord Hashem asks the question, how come Moshe Rabbeinu Amram married his aunt? It's a prohibition. Okay, you can say it's before Mount Torah. But what's the oimik of the father and mother of Moshe? Moshe is being birthed from a relationship where the aunt is older than the uncle, older than the nephew. Al pi halacha, an uncle can marry a niece. An aunt cannot marry a nephew. The depth of that reason is because the Mashiach always has to be older than the Makabel, or at least generationally older. So an uncle who represents a generation before can marry a niece. But a generation before backwards, which is the Makabel, is older than the nephew, that doesn't work. Says the Moed Shemesh that La'asam Lavoi, and this is why Moshe is Makabel HaTorah, ultimately Kabbalah HaTorah is that the Mashpia is Mashpia to the Makabel in such a way, the giver gives such a way to the receiver, that the receiver starts being a Mashpia to the Makabel. It's dafke with Talmidei Yosef Mekulam, that actually, it returns, it becomes reverse. That's why you say that La'asam Lavoi, V'heishel Le'banim, V'heishel Le'banim is Ayidei Banim, Le'heishel Le'banim is a Banim, Ayidei Banim. That ultimately, it will be the Banim that will teach the parents, which we're living through this generation. And that's actually the beauty of this Kila HaKadosh, which some people say is called Daishi, but we'll have to talk about it. What's the mile of this Kila? Everyone is participating. Everyone should participate. And everyone has to know that they're a Mashiach in their own way. But you should also know that everyone's in the Kabbalah in their own way. So So all the mashkia, should be mashkia, the shefatoyev, all the makadosh for the kadosh shefatoyev. And everyone should know the kunst in life is to know what you're good at. Some people are cut out to do certain things. I once heard from the Gabbai, from the Pasha Rebbe, what's his name?
Moshe Ratman.
Moshe Ratman told me that once the Pasha Rebbe was Isaac in Tzrachav, and he got locked into the bathroom. And Moshe went to sleep. The Hungarian Rebbe spend a lot of time in the bathroom. I don't know if you know this. But the Chava knows. It's an Ungarish affair. And no, it's something avoided. But it was a real avoidance. You don't find by Russian tzaddikim not being created tzaddikim, it's not English. I don't know why. It has to do with the hair. It's really angry. Maybe a lot of fiber, exactly. The kid said the English Rebbe, he was the English Rebbe, he was a Hungarian Rebbe, he was singing a lot of things. And then Moshe walks out, and he comes and he sees that he hears noises from the, and he says, what's happening? He says that the door is shut. It's locked. So he tells Moshe, you have the key? Moshe says, no, I don't have the key. So he said, what I do now? How am I getting out? It's me and you. So Moshe starts telling him that there's a hanger. There's a hanger in the room. You take the hanger, you bend the hanger, you like this. You open it, like wiggle the door and the door will open. So Tasha takes the hanger. Moshe's guiding him what to do. He grabs the hanger and he's juggling the hanger's engaged. Obviously it's Spanish. So he says, "Don't do me yet." Moshe's like, I'm gonna go grab the hanger. So he goes grab the hanger, he puts the hanger in, boom, it opens up. He says, that's not Moshe. You're good in opening doors, and I'm not so good in opening doors. He says, everyone has their thing. We should remember what our thing is. And the Eibusher should bless us, should give us a good brach and siyat d'shmaya. That it shouldn't be an end and a beginning. It should be, everything should be just l'chayil l'chayil. L'chayil.